WNBA owners, executive, and many people in high power is pretty much spilling the beans about Cathy Engelbart turmoil with players, but more importantly, Caitlin Clark.
The storm inside the WNBA has officially erupted, and at the center of it all stands Commissioner Cathy Engelbart. Once hailed as the league's steady hand, Engelbart is now facing an all-out rebellion from the very owners she represents. Reports are flooding in that multiple WNBA executives and team owners are furious, accusing her of destroying the league's credibility, alienating players, and turning sponsors away.
It's no secret that the WNBA is in a kind of a terrible place right now. Want to be for real, man. We currently got the CBA negotiations going on. You got Cathy Engelbart getting booed at the WNBA finals. You got players like Nafisa Collier speaking out against her in exiting interviews. You got Cathy denying everything Nafisa said. And it looked like WNBA owners and executives is about to spill the beans on Cathy too.
From disastrous officiating scandals to her controversial handling of Caitlin Clark's rise, the criticism has reached a boiling point. And this time, the frustration isn't coming from the players, it's coming from the boardrooms. Insiders say heated calls have taken place behind closed doors, and one owner even described Engelbart's leadership as the worst in professional sports. The WNBA's reputation is on the line, and Cathy Engelbart's empire might finally be collapsing in real time.
For all the people thinking that this Cathy Engelbart saga was over, I'm here to tell you, we might have another controversy coming out the pipeline. This time it's involving executives and the owners, people with power.
The tension that's been bubbling under the surface of the WNBA has finally exploded. For months, whispers circulated that several team owners were unhappy with Cathy Engelbart's leadership. But now, those whispers have turned into public discontent. The same owners who once praised her for expanding the league's visibility are now calling her a liability.
Well, it looked like ESPN has been scraping the surface and trying to figure out exactly what the hell is going on with Cathy, because we know none other than Stephen A. Smith stated last week that he believed Cathy should resign. Now, I told y'all, I've been saying Cathy should have resigned. And for whatever reason, she still got her job, bro. She still got her job.
Behind the polished press conferences and corporate smiles, sources say meetings have turned chaotic, with owners directly confronting Engelbart over what they describe as the worst public image crisis in WNBA history. The backlash started when Engelbart was loudly booed during the WNBA finals, a moment that stunned even longtime analysts. What should have been a celebration of women's basketball became a symbol of division. Fans in the stands weren't just expressing frustration, they were echoing what players and owners had been feeling for months. That public humiliation was more than a bad night. It was a warning shot.
So here we go. WNBA owners have stated this change is a must, bruh. One of the long-lasting images of the WNBA season was Engelbart getting relentlessly booed by the crowd, which Lisa Leslie spoke about her getting booed in a recent interview.
In private, executives say they've lost confidence in Engelbart's judgment. Her controversial sale of a 16% stake in the WNBA back in 2022, meant to attract investors, reportedly angered many inside the league. Owners felt blindsided, claiming she sold too much control and gave outside investors power over key decisions. Some even suggested that move marked the beginning of the league's internal collapse. They accuse Engelbart of focusing more on corporate deals than the quality of play, refereeing standards, or player safety areas that directly affect the WNBA's reputation.
The commissioner is primarily tasked with representing the owners, not the players, amid negotiations such as CBA talks. But multiple team owners told ESPN they are also unhappy with Engelbart's leadership. If I have to vote, one owner said, I would probably ask for a replacement. It seems unlikely that any major leadership change will happen while CBA negotiations continue. And Engelbart told reporters at the final she's never been a quitter.
Even Adam Silver's name has now entered the conversation. As commissioner of the NBA, Silver technically oversees Engelbart's position. Insiders claim he's been receiving complaints from frustrated WNBA owners who believe the league's leadership has failed to balance player relations and business priorities. And that might explain why some fans and insiders are starting to believe that Silver himself could soon step in.
NBA commissioners Adam Silver. When asked recently about the situation with Collier, Adam Silver stated he has presented over 6 years of some strongest growth we've not only seen in the WNBA, but any sports league in history, but it's become too personal. So that's what Adam Silver stated, man.
But what really set the fire ablaze was Engelbert's response, or rather, her refusal to respond. When players like Napheesa Collier and A'ja Wilson publicly voiced frustration over league management and officiating inconsistencies, Engelbert brushed them off, calling their complaints exaggerated. That tone-deaf attitude, insiders say, was the breaking point. It painted her as disconnected from the athletes and dismissive of their struggles.
Cathy Engelbert, the commissioner, and when she announces her, she is candidly, loudly booed. And for those in the arena, they said they couldn't even hear her.
Wow. WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert.
Thank you, Holly. Well, we're here today to celebrate a champion. Thank you to all the fans. Phoenix had a great run to get here. And I just want to congratulate the Aces on a performance. 2025 WNBA champion.
Now, as reports from ESPN and other outlets emerge, it's becoming clear this isn't just about a few disagreements. The owners are drawing battle lines. They've begun discussing what a post-Engelbert WNBA could look like. Some want a commissioner who understands the modern media landscape, who can repair relationships with players, and who can rebuild trust with fans who feel ignored. For Cathy Engelbert, this isn't just criticism, it's open revolt. And as the storm intensifies, one question hangs over the entire league. Can the WNBA survive another season under a commissioner who's lost the faith of her owners?
It looked like the owners got the ball all the way in their court, man. They got the ladies by their legs like this because they will get a new commissioner once this CBA negotiation gets over. So the cat's out the bag, man.
The private discontent among WNBA owners has officially spilled into the public eye. What began as quiet frustration has now turned into an unmistakable revolt. According to multiple league insiders, several owners have made it clear they no longer support Cathy Engelbert's leadership and are prepared to push for her replacement once the ongoing CBA negotiations conclude. One owner reportedly told ESPN, "If I had to vote today, I'd ask for a replacement." That kind of statement, coming from someone inside the league's inner circle, is unprecedented, and it sent shockwaves through the WNBA community. The timing couldn't be worse for Engelbert. As the WNBA navigates a crucial round of collective bargaining talks with players, her relationship with both sides has collapsed. The commissioner is supposed to represent the owners during these negotiations, but insiders claim many of them no longer trust her to act in their best interest. Several believe she's made decisions that favor short-term image over long-term stability. The result? A commissioner isolated from her players, distrusted by her owners, and jeered by her fans. The tension came to a head when footage of Engelbert being booed at the championship trophy presentation went viral. Even veteran figures like Lisa Leslie publicly commented on the incident, saying she felt bad for Engelbert, but understood why the fans reacted the way they did. Leslie pointed out that the crowd's anger wasn't just about Engelbert, it reflected a growing belief that players deserve better pay, better treatment, and leadership that actually listens. That moment crystallized the disconnect between Engelbert and the league she's supposed to lead. But behind closed doors, the owners are reportedly sources familiar with the discussions say there's an unspoken agreement to keep Engelbert in place until the CBA is finalized, simply to avoid disrupting negotiations. After that, however, her future looks bleak. The irony is that Engelbert herself admitted she's never been a quitter. Yet those words may soon be tested as owners prepare for what they're calling a new era of leadership. The report also highlighted growing concerns about Engelbert's management decisions, her focus on brand partnerships and corporate expansion, such as the controversial 2022 sale of a 16% stake in the league, alienated team owners who felt they were losing control of their own product. Some accused her of selling out the WNBA's soul for quick cash. Others claimed her constant emphasis on business jargon made her seem out of touch with the game's emotional heartbeat. This is no longer a dispute about money or marketing. It's a question of identity. Who truly controls the WNBA, the commissioner, the players, or the people signing the checks? And as the owners tighten their grip, Cathy Engelbert finds herself surrounded by the very people who once celebrated her rise. The knives are out, and the boardroom battle has only just begun. What's happening behind closed doors at WNBA headquarters isn't just a leadership dispute. It's a full-blown power struggle. At the heart of it lies a growing divide between Cathy Engelbert and the very system she was appointed to manage. Her role as commissioner was meant to bridge the gap between players and ownership. But sources now say she's alienated both sides. While she tries to project calm and professionalism in public, insiders describe private meetings filled with tension, raised voices, and at times total silence. The trust that once existed between Engelbert and the league's owners has eroded beyond repair. According to reports, some owners have already begun identifying possible replacements. They're not waiting for Engelbert to step down, they're preparing for the moment she's forced out. One insider even suggested that the names being discussed include former NBA executives and business leaders with experience in crisis management. The message is clear: the WNBA's top seat might soon be vacant, and the vultures are already circling. Much of this power shift traces back to Engelbert's biggest miscalculation, the 2022 capital raise. On paper, it looked like a success. $75 million flowed into the league, attracting new investors and media attention. But the details told a different story. Engelbert sold off 16% of the WNBA's equity, effectively giving away pieces of control that many owners never agreed to lose. Some felt blindsided by the deal and saw it as a betrayal. That resentment simmered quietly until now, when her broader leadership failures gave owners the excuse they needed to strike back. To make matters worse, Adam Silver's involvement adds another layer of intrigue. As commissioner of the NBA, he technically oversees the WNBA's operations and has been described as deeply concerned about the growing instability. Publicly, Silver praised Engelbert for strong growth, but behind the scenes, his patience may be wearing thin. Sources close to the situation suggest that if the owners formally move against Engelbert, Silver will not intervene to save her. Engelbert's handling of player relations has made her position even weaker. Her dismissive reaction to criticism from stars like Nafisa Collier and Aja Wilson turned locker room frustration into public outrage. Instead of acknowledging their concerns about officiating and pay equity, she doubled down, framing the complaints as exaggerations. That move further alienated players who already felt unheard. Now, the league's most influential athletes are quietly aligning themselves with the owners, not the commissioner. This is the kind of turmoil that can shatter a sports league. When the players and the owners unite against leadership, the system collapses. Engelbert, once seen as a reformer, is now viewed as the obstacle standing between the WNBA and progress. Her power is slipping fast, and the people around her know it. The question is no longer if she'll fall, but when, and who will take her place once she does. One of the biggest reasons the WNBA is in chaos right now is officiating, and Cathy Engelbert is taking the full blame. Players, coaches, and fans have all voiced outrage over what they describe as inconsistent, biased, and downright embarrassing refereeing. What started as isolated complaints early in the season turned into a league-wide uproar by the playoffs. Players publicly questioned calls on social media, coaches snapped in post-game interviews, and fans demanded accountability. Yet, through it all, Engelbert stayed silent. That silence, more than anything, convinced many inside the league that she had lost control. During the semifinals, tensions exploded. The games were marred by controversial whistles that directly affected outcomes. Some players even hinted that favoritism was creeping into key matchups. When Engelbert failed to address the situation, the backlash reached the owners. They began asking why the commissioner wasn't taking responsibility for the chaos unfolding on her watch. As one executive reportedly said, "If the product looks rigged, fans stop watching," and that's exactly what's happening. Her failure to act fast became a symbol of her broader leadership problem. The officiating controversy wasn't just about missed calls, it was about trust. Players no longer trusted the referees, the fans no longer trusted the league, and the owners no longer trusted Engelbert to protect their investment. The perception that she allowed incompetence to spread unchecked has now damaged the WNBA's reputation beyond repair. Insiders claim Engelbert dismissed the concerns internally, calling them isolated issues. But those so-called isolated issues were being broadcast nationally. Videos of questionable calls flooded social media, fueling the narrative that the WNBA lacked integrity. By the time the finals arrived, the narrative was no longer controllable. Every poor whistle became another reminder of her inaction. It all came to a head when players like Nafisa Collier hinted that Engelbert ignored their repeated requests for transparency. When Collier publicly stated she felt unheard, the league office quickly denied her comments, a move that backfired spectacularly. Fans sided with Collier, and Engelbert looked defensive and disconnected. Even veteran players who usually avoided controversy began speaking out, describing a toxic disconnect between players and league. Leadership, the refereeing mess, also exposed Engelbert's larger problem, her obsession with optics. Instead of fixing internal issues, she focused on branding and sponsorship deals. Critics say she treated the WNBA like a corporate startup instead of a sports league built on emotion and competition. That disconnect between boardroom politics and on-court reality has made her an easy target for ridicule. By the time the boos rained down at the finals trophy ceremony, it was no longer just about bad officiating. It was about everything Cathy Engelbert represented: corporate control, broken communication, and a growing belief that the league was being run by someone who didn't understand the game she was supposed to lead. And as that resentment spreads, it's clear this isn't just a PR problem anymore, it's a crisis of legitimacy. If there's one moment that exposed the cracks in Cathy Engelbert's leadership more than any other, it was the arrival of Caitlin Clark. What should have been the WNBA's golden opportunity to elevate women's basketball turned into a lightning rod of controversy, division, and chaos. From day one, Clark's presence in the league created tension. Her massive popularity brought in millions of new fans, sold-out arenas, and record-breaking TV ratings. Yet somehow, the league managed to mishandle the entire moment, and that failure falls directly on Engelbert's shoulders. Instead of embracing Clark's influence, the WNBA seemed unprepared and defensive. Veteran players openly criticized the media attention she received, while Engelbert remained eerily silent, refusing to address the growing hostility. The fans noticed. The public saw a league unable to control its own narrative. Every time Clark was fouled hard or disrespected on the court, social media erupted, demanding answers. Where was the commissioner? Why wasn't the league protecting its biggest asset? That silence turned a simple sports storyline into a national debate. When fans accused the WNBA of jealousy and mismanagement, Engelbert's public statements only made things worse. She downplayed the issue, calling it part of the game, a comment that angered fans and sponsors alike. For a commissioner who once prided herself on professionalism and growth, she suddenly looked detached and defensive. And when Caitlin Clark's name started trending more for controversy than her on-court brilliance, it became clear that the league had lost control of its biggest star. Inside the organization, players reportedly felt Engelbert was using Clark as a shield, taking credit for her popularity while refusing to manage the backlash it created. Some players believed Engelbert leaned too heavily on Clark's star power to mask deeper issues like poor officiating and low pay, transparency. Others accused her of creating a media circus that divided locker rooms. What was supposed to unite women's basketball instead became one of the most polarizing seasons in WNBA history. Even sponsors began to take notice. Major partners reportedly expressed frustration that the league wasn't capitalizing on Clark's mainstream appeal the way the NBA once did with stars like LeBron James or Stephen Curry. Instead of pushing unity and marketing brilliance, Engelbert's leadership turned every headline into another controversy. ESPN analysts began asking whether she was in over her head, while fans demanded new leadership capable of balancing competition with star management. Caitlin Clark's rise should have been Engelbert's greatest achievement, the spark that brought the WNBA into a new era of attention and money. Instead, it revealed everything wrong with her administration: poor communication, lack of protection for players, and total misreading of fan sentiment. The moment she failed to seize the Caitlin Clark wave, Engelbert stopped being seen as a builder and started being seen as a barrier. And that shift in perception might be what ultimately ends her reign at the top. The moment Cathy Engelbert stepped onto the court during the WNBA Finals trophy ceremony, she probably didn't expect the reaction she received. As she walked toward the microphone, the crowd erupted, not in applause, but in thunderous boos that drowned out her words. It was supposed to be a celebration of excellence, a night to crown champions. But instead, it became the loudest statement yet against her leadership. Fans in the arena weren't just expressing anger. They were sending a message, and the message was clear. The people who love this league no longer trust the person running it. Clips of the incident went viral within hours. Social media lit up with reactions ranging from disbelief to open mockery. Some fans admitted they felt bad for Engelbert, but most agreed that the boos reflected years of frustration with how she handled everything from officiating to player treatment. It wasn't about one game, it was about the perception that the league had lost its direction under her watch. Even veteran players who usually avoided controversy quietly liked or reposted the videos, subtly signaling their agreement. Lisa Leslie, one of the most respected figures in WNBA history, broke her silence soon after. In an interview, she said she felt for Cathy but couldn't deny the deeper meaning behind what happened. Leslie explained that the crowd's reaction showed fans were paying attention. They were tired of seeing the league make mistakes, tired of the same excuses, and desperate for players to finally be rewarded fairly for their hard work. Her comments went viral too, and for many, they validated what the boos really meant. The fans had officially turned on the commissioner. Behind the scenes, sources say the moment shook Engelbert deeply. She reportedly told colleagues she didn't realize the resentment had gone that far. But the damage was done. League executives knew that if the commissioner can't even present the trophy without getting booed, the brand itself is in trouble. Sponsors began asking questions. Networks expressed concern about the league's public image heading into the next season. Even Adam Silver's office was said to be monitoring the situation closely. The fallout extended beyond optics. Owners took the incident as proof that keeping Engelbert around any longer might harm the league's credibility. For them, it was no longer about loyalty or patience, it was about business. A commissioner who can't command respect from fans or players is a liability. As one insider bluntly put it, if you're getting booed at your own championship, your leadership days are numbered. That night wasn't just a PR disaster, it was a turning point. The boos echoed far beyond the arena. They became a rallying cry for change, a sign that the WNBA's silent frustrations had finally found a voice. And as Cathy Engelbert walked off that court, she may not have realized it yet, but that sound, the sound of thousands of fans rejecting her leadership, was the beginning of her end. For years, Cathy Engelbert presented herself as the business-minded commissioner who could transform the WNBA into a modern, profitable league. At first, many believed she was succeeding. She secured major sponsorships, expanded broadcast deals, and raised a record $75 million in funding. But beneath the headlines, owners began realizing those victories came at a cost: their control and trust. The very deals meant to elevate the league slowly fractured its foundation. Leaving owners feeling sidelined and manipulated, the biggest flashpoint was the 2022 capital raise. Engelbert sold 16% of the WNBA to outside investors, calling it a historic step toward growth. But what she didn't emphasize publicly was how much authority those investors gained in the process. Suddenly, league decisions about scheduling, branding, and even marketing direction were being influenced by corporate interests instead of team owners. Many owners felt blindsided, arguing that Engelbert had acted unilaterally without proper consultation. For them, it wasn't just about money. It was about losing control over their league's soul. That resentment festered. When owners later saw Engelbert focus on public appearances and marketing campaigns rather than fixing internal problems like poor officiating and fractured player relations, their patience snapped. They accused her of being more CEO than commissioner, more interested in selling the image of progress than actually achieving it. Sponsors started noticing too. Some reportedly questioned why the league's internal chaos didn't match the growth narrative they were being sold. It became clear that the WNBA's brand image was outpacing its reality, and Engelbert was the one holding the bag. Things grew worse when reports surfaced that some owners were pushing for a full financial audit of the commissioner's decisions. According to one insider, they want to know where every dollar from that $75 million went. That statement alone reveals just how deep the distrust has become. Instead of viewing Engelbert as a leader, Many now see her as a liability, a figure who traded authenticity for corporate polish and transparency for spin. Even Adam Silver's previous praise for her historic growth has started to ring hollow. Insiders say Silver is aware that keeping Engelbert much longer could jeopardize negotiations and investor confidence. It's a delicate situation. The league is more visible than ever, but also more unstable than it's been in years. And at the center of that contradiction is Cathy Engelbert, whose business-first vision may have outgrown the very people it was meant to serve. Engelbert was brought in to professionalize the WNBA, but her corporate approach might end up being the reason it fractures. The owners, the players, and even the fans no longer see her as the future. They see her as the obstacle standing in its way. Her attempts to build partnerships and expand revenue may have looked like success on paper. But in the court of public opinion, those deals broke something far more valuable: trust. By the time the season ended, Cathy Engelbert's fate was already sealed. She just didn't realize it yet. The warning signs were everywhere: public boos, owner revolts, player frustration, and media pressure that refused to fade. But it was one final act of defiance from the owners that made her position truly untenable. According to insiders, multiple franchise executives held a private conference in early October, away from the league office, to discuss what they called a path forward without Engelbert. No cameras, no PR statements, just raw honesty. Their conclusion was unanimous: the WNBA could not grow with her in charge. Conversation reportedly turned heated when one owner accused Engelbert of ruining the sports. Reputation, they pointed to. Everything from the officiating debacle to the Caitlin Clark controversy as evidence that she'd lost the pulse of the league. Others argued she had focused too heavily on her corporate image, ignoring the human side of basketball, the connection between players, fans, and the game itself. For a league built on unity and empowerment, her cold, calculated approach had created the opposite: division and resentment. Meanwhile, the media pressure intensified. ESPN, Bleacher Report, and several sports podcasts began openly questioning whether Engelbert could survive another offseason. Analysts highlighted how her inability to control narratives, from officiating scandals to internal disputes, made her appear powerless. Even her allies at the NBA offices began distancing themselves, privately acknowledging that new leadership may be necessary to stabilize things. What made the situation even more volatile was Engelbert's own stubbornness. She refused to step down, publicly declaring she was not a quitter. To her, the backlash was simply a test of endurance. But to the people running the league, it was proof she was out of touch. When your commissioner is being booed by fans, dismissed by players, and questioned by owners, the end is only a matter of timing. Behind the scenes, the replacement talks gained momentum. Several names reportedly surfaced, including former NBA executives and even ex-WNBA players with strong leadership credentials. The plan was simple: finalize the ongoing CBA negotiations, then move quickly to announce new leadership before the next season tipped off. The owners wanted to send a message, not just to players, but to sponsors and fans, that the WNBA was ready for a reset. For Engelbert, there's no recovering from this storm. Every controversy she brushed aside has returned with greater force. The boos, the headlines, the fan outrage, all of it has merged into one defining truth: the league no longer believes in her. Whether she resigns quietly or is pushed out, the result will be the same. The WNBA's boardroom has spoken, the fans have spoken, and even the players have spoken. Cathy Engelbert's time as commissioner is over, and the league she once promised to rebuild will now rebuild itself without her. Cathy Engelbert's downfall didn't happen overnight. It was years in the making. What began as optimism and corporate progress ended as one of the most public collapses in league history. The boos, the backlash, and the open revolt from owners all point to one undeniable truth: she lost the trust of the people she was meant to lead. The WNBA stands at a crossroads now, facing both its greatest visibility and its greatest internal crisis. Fans demand transparency, players demand respect, and owners demand a new direction. Engelbert's era will be remembered not for growth, but for the fractures that exposed the league's deeper issues. As new leadership looms, one thing is clear: the next commissioner must do what Engelbert couldn't: rebuild unity. protect the players, and finally give the WNBA the leadership it deserves.